Imagine if while driving down the road, you suddenly witness a glowing wheel larger than any vehicle you've ever seen, hovering in the sky above you. And then for terrifying yet majestic beings descend from it. The prophet describes a vision he had of a wheel within a wheel that glowed with fire and was accompanied by 4 strange beings. One has the face of a man, another the face of a lion, and 2 others have the faces of bulls. Both wheels are made like the hub of a wheel with spokes in the middle, but the inner wheel is filled with eyes and the outer wheel is surrounded by a rim. The vision continues for over 10 verses, describing the movement of the creatures and their wheels in detail. Then the light goes back into the creatures and disappears. They go up and down, move forward and backward, and turn to the right and left, always in unison and with great speed. However, it is in the book of Ezekiel that we find the most extensive and vivid description of the Merkabah. This divine chariot or manifestation is known as the Merkabah, which in Hebrew means chariot. Many scholars suggest that these eyes symbolize the all-seeing awareness of God, or a divine consciousness that is watching over humanity. In the context of a UFO encounter, these eyes could be interpreted as lights or sensors that are scanning the area. The passage states that the entire thing moved without turning. Furthermore, the description of the craft being made like a wheel might not necessarily refer to a literal circular object. It could be a metaphorical way of describing something that looks like a wheel from certain angles, such as a disc-shaped UFO. For many people, the Merkabah is a deeply meaningful concept that represents the transcendent and awe-inspiring nature of God. To view it through a purely materialistic or scientific lens can be seen as disrespectful or heretical. In other words, it hovered in place without moving side to side or rotating. Just because we can't explain it doesn't mean it wasn't real. It was surrounded by seraphim and other heavenly beings that sang praises and worshipped God. The Aaron was the upper part of the Merkabah that covered God like a canopy or pavilion. The wheels were said to rotate in 4 directions, representing God's omnipresence and ability to be everywhere at once. These features were thought to represent God's knowledge, creativity, and communication with humanity. The eyes were said to symbolize God's all-seeing wisdom, while the hands represented his creative power. The voices were believed to be the words of prophecy and Torah, which revealed God's will to humans. According to Kabbalistic teachings, the Merkabah is not just a physical object, but a representation of the spiritual and metaphysical dimensions of reality. Some Kabbalistic traditions include practices such as meditation, contemplation, and prayer that are designed to evoke mystical experiences and revelations. The different parts of the Merkabah, such as the chariot, the throne, and the firmament, are often associated with different levels or realms of consciousness, as well as different aspects of God's nature and attributes. This historical context adds another layer of meaning to the vision. The wheels were also associated with the 4 elements: earth, air, fire. The wheel could symbolize God's power and authority to intervene in human affairs and bring about deliverance and restoration. Additionally, the vision may have imparted a sense of divine power and strength to the Israelites, reminding them that they were not powerless in the face of their oppressors. Its enigmatic descriptions continue to captivate and inspire awe, inviting us to contemplate the boundaries of human understanding and the mysteries of the divine. Kabbalah, meaning reception, is a set of esoteric teachings and beliefs that developed within Jewish mysticism. And don't forget to share your thoughts and ideas in the comments section below. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. It is based on the belief that there is a hidden or mystical meaning behind the text of the Torah and other Jewish scriptures. And water, and with the 4 sides of the world, north, south, east, and west. During times of great trouble and uncertainty, people often turn to their religious beliefs for comfort, guidance, and hope. In this context, Ezekiel's vision of the glorious and majestic wheel could be seen as a message of divine encouragement and reassurance. These texts contain a rich symbolism and allegory that Kabbalists interpret to reveal deeper truths about God, the universe, and the human soul. It was said to contain the Shekinah, the divine presence or glory of God. Some scholars argue that the vision should be understood primarily as a theological and spiritual experience rather than a physical or historical event. They also believed that the Merkabah had a cosmic function, keeping the world in balance and harmony. Merkabah mystics sought to understand the nature of God and the spiritual realm by interpreting the visions and teachings of prophets such as Ezekiel. They believed that the Merkabah was a symbol of the divine throne, chariot, or temple that carried God throughout the universe. This could be explained as a display of advanced technology, such as anti-gravity or other means of controlled flight. Modern readers might imagine a UFO equipped with advanced technology that uses cameras or radars to observe its surroundings. The Merkabah is described in various places in the Hebrew Bible, such as Isaiah 6, where the prophet Isaiah sees the Lord seated on a throne high. The chariot was the lower part of the Merkabah that supported the throne and carried the wheels and the firmament. It was sometimes depicted as a cloud or mist that concealed the more sacred parts of the Merkabah. Let us examine some of the interesting details in Ezekiel's vision and see how they can be interpreted through the lens of ufology. And lifted up, surrounded by seraphim who cry out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts." The mention of lightning in the passage could also be interpreted as a sign of electrical or mechanical activity. Perhaps the craft was powered by electricity, or had some sort of electrical system that generated sparks or bolts of lightning. The light shines brightly and radiantly. From time to time there are flashes of lightning. The inner wheel turns very rapidly, making a loud noise like the rumbling of thunder. Ezekiel is both terrified and enthralled by these creatures as they move majestically around him. And although they have wings, they don't fly away. Instead, they hover near him. The passage begins with Ezekiel sitting among the ruins of the city of Jerusalem, when he sees something extraordinary appear in the distance. A bright light, like the brightness of fire, is coming out of the north, and as it draws closer, he sees 4 living creatures emerging from it. This is exactly what happened to the Jewish prophet Ezekiel thousands of years ago. But was it an alien UFO, a divine miracle, or something else entirely? Let's explore the possibility that Ezekiel witnessed a UFO in today's video. In the 33rd chapter of the book of Ezekiel, which is part of the Hebrew Bible and also found in the Christian Old Testament, these creatures each have 4 faces and 4 wings. They walk on 4 feet and are covered in hair. Then from the midst of the creatures comes a brilliant light, a solid wheel in the center of a second wheel. As the 4-faced creatures move, the wheels move with them. And wherever the creatures go, the light and the wheel follow. Finally, after what seems like a long time, the creatures come to rest, the wheels are lifted off the ground, and they rise up to become like stars. Ancient interpreters of Ezekiel's vision saw it as a depiction of God's chariot, his throne, or a manifestation of his glory. The Merkabah is also mentioned in other prophetic books such as those of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and 2 Peter. Some modern theorists have suggested that Ezekiel's vision resembles an account of a UFO encounter, given the hovering, radiant, and mechanical imagery. One of the most striking features of the vision are the eyes on the wheels. In fact, the description of the eyes is so precise that some have speculated that Ezekiel may have actually witnessed some sort of flying machine or spacecraft that had lights or cameras on its wheels. Another intriguing detail is the movement of the structure itself. In a UFO context, hovering is a common phenomenon reported in UFO sightings, often attributed to anti-gravity technology. While the idea of Ezekiel witnessing a UFO is fascinating, it is important to acknowledge that not everyone agrees with this interpretation. In fact, the majority of scholars agree that Ezekiel's vision was a product of his own imagination, a highly symbolic representation of his experience of God's presence and power. However, just because something can't be scientifically proven doesn't mean it didn't happen. Ezekiel's vision of the wheel is an integral part of Jewish mysticism known as Merkabah mysticism, which developed around the Merkabah, meaning chariot. According to Jewish tradition, the Merkabah was composed of 3 parts: the chariot, or chariot, the throne, or kais, and the firmament, or Aaron. The kiss was the raised platform where God sat, and from which he ruled over the world. Merkabah mystics believed that the Merkabah was a manifestation of God's power and wisdom, as well as a means by which he communicated with humanity. According to Jewish mysticism, the Merkabah had wheels, which were symbols of God's power and movement. In addition to the wheels, the Merkabah had other features such as eyes, hands, and voices. The Merkabah was a central feature in Jewish mystical literature and practice, and it played a significant role in the development of Kabbalah. Kabbalistic teachings often involve the study of ancient texts, such as the Zohar, the Sefer Yetzirah, and the writings of later Jewish mystics. The Merkabah is a central concept in Kabbalah. Kabbalistic teachings often focus on the Merkabah's mystical and symbolic meanings. The study of the Merkabah in Kabbalah is not just an intellectual exercise. but a spiritual practice that aims to help practitioners attain a deeper level of understanding and connection with God. Overall, the Merkabah remains a powerful and enigmatic symbol in Jewish mysticism and has inspired generations of seekers to explore the depths of the spiritual realm. Ezekiel's experience of the wheel took place during the time of the Babylonian exile, when the Israelites were forced to leave their homeland and resettle in Babylon. The exile was a traumatic and challenging period for the Israelites, marked by loss, suffering, and displacement. The vision may have reminded the Israelites that despite their current hardships, they were still connected to God and that He was still present in their lives. It is also possible that Ezekiel's vision was meant to be a message to the surrounding nations, such as the Babylonians, demonstrating God's power and reminding them not to gloat or boast in their conquests. In conclusion, whether we consider it a divine sign, a misunderstood encounter, or something else entirely, Ezekiel's wheel remains one of the most mysterious and debated visions in Scripture. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content.